¿Cómo están? ¿Cómo están? ¿Cómo están? Bien? Okay. Okay. Well, welcome back. Hopefully yesterday went pretty smoothly. You got a little Nearpod to do. That go okay for everybody? I haven't looked at it yet, but I will. So make sure you've taken care of that. And then you're just supposed to make a bingo board that hopefully we'll get to at least start today. And maybe continue playing tomorrow if we don't get a whole game in. So if you are out there and you can get on your computer for me, I would sure appreciate it. Your camera, so I know you're there. We were doing really well on that, and then I think we've sort of slipped a little bit. I appreciate the half of you that have your computer on, but if you can get it on, let me know you're there. If not, let me know what's going on, and we'll go from there. Great, gracias. Oh, muy bien. Thanks, Victoria. So yeah, yesterday I just we had some doctor's appointments for my kids, and then we just spent the day together. So it's nice. It's kind of feeling a little springy out there, isn't it? All right, so hoy vamos no worries, Ayala. Vamos a hablar de Ecuador. Entonces, saquen los apuntes de Ecuador, right? Those are your Ecuador notes. I do have a place for you to submit them. I want to make sure they are as complete as possible before you submit them. I want to hit the highlights and make sure you got what you need. I would not be surprised if your next quiz had some Ecuador questions on it, and that I've got a little bit to share with you from my trip to Ecuador. So that's kind of where we're headed with that. I did decide to move your vocab quiz was going to be tomorrow, but I'm going to push that to next Tuesday. All right. So that gives us one more day to kind of practice and play some games. And hopefully you'll be feeling great by next Tuesday if you are not already. All right. So let's talk about Ecuador. I want to kind of hit the highlights. I want to know what stood out to you. And then I want to make sure if you did have a couple questions on things that you get a chance to get those asked and answered. So first of all, let's start with what stands out. What'd you learn about Ecuador? If I ask you a couple questions about Ecuador, what do you think are the main things that you should know? What did you learn? What did you find most interesting? Wherever you want to go with that. So look over your notes and let me know when you're ready to share something. What stands out? What did you find the most interesting about Ecuador? What did we learn? Let's start us off. Quentin, what stands out?
It's named after the equator.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a central thing here. Here, let me turn up my volume. It's a little quiet. It's named after the equator. So Ecuador is equator, right? The equator goes right through it. So that affects the climate. I would say, you know, most countries that are on the equator don't have seasons like we do. As you move away from the equator in either direction, you get more seasons. So they kind of have the wet season and the dry season. Otherwise, the only thing that affects really the temperature is the altitude. So when you're like down at sea level, it's usually warmer. And then as you go up in the mountains, it gets a little cooler. Tucker, what else can you tell me about Ecuador? What stood out?
There's a lot of different traditions.
Okay, like, can you give me one that you're thinking of here? Pick something that we can talk about.
The one, wait, what's that? Well, it's not a tradition. It's like the one food that they eat,
Okay, yeah. Which one are you thinking of?
where they, like they, I forgot what it's called.
Or is it,
Like stringy and all that.
say that again?
It's like stringy and you cut it off.
Like in number 8, the jugo de caña. Is that what you're thinking about?
Yeah.
Okay, so what's that drink made of? Do you have that? Do you have number 8 filled in?
Uh,
Yeah, though. The what?
I
Oh,
can't find it.
are you talking about the sugar cane drink or the taffy stuff?
Yeah, the taffy stuff.
Taffy stuff. Yeah, there actually isn't a question about that. Thank you. Thanks. Good putting that together for me. Usually I can do that. Yeah, so they were showing you how they made some handmade taffy. Then I was jumping to the one because I was thinking of the long sugar cane, right, where they make that drink out of sugar cane. There's another interesting food, but we'll wait till somebody brings it up. Kaylee, what was interesting? What stood out to you?
I was going to say how there you can ride on the roof of a train.
Yeah. So it's kind of interesting. In other countries, things tend to be much less regulated than they are here. In our country, we're always, you know, everybody tells you what to do because they're worried they're going to get what? You hurt yourself, you get, say again. Yeah, a lawsuit, you get sued, right? So we're always real careful to put up like, don't do this, don't do that, don't go here. In other countries, they don't have that problem. So you can do what you want. And yeah, I thought that was interesting too, how they were right on the top of the train. Doesn't seem super safe, but I bet it would be a good view. So yeah, that was kind of interesting. Anthony, what are you thinking?
The eating guinea pig, that was just weird to me.
Okay, yeah. So the guinea pig thing is interesting. Let me tell you about that, and then I'll show you some pictures here in a second when I share a couple with you. So here's the thing. The food that we eat is what seems normal to us, right? Why does it seem normal to eat what we eat? Because we've grown up doing it, right? So what you have to understand, you got to shift your perspective a little bit here. Go with me here, right? To us, and everybody's different, right? You have vegetarians and stuff like that. But to us, like eating pig is normal. Eating beef is normal, right? Eating chicken is normal because those are things that we grew up eating, right? As a whole. All right. In other countries, different foods are what they grew up eating. So although it seems weird to us, it just seems normal to them, right? It's all about your perspective. So in other countries, it just depends what's available. Some countries think it's gross to eat pig, to eat pork, right? Some countries think it's gross to eat beef. They don't eat beef. So it just depends kind of your perspective, right? About what is normal. So it's kind of interesting. So in Ecuador, they eat guinea pig. It's a traditional food. It's not like you go out and have guinea pig every night, but it's a traditional food. I guess if you kind of look back at like the United States, like traditional, like, people would hunt for deer, people would hunt for squirrel, those were the meats that like the settlers would eat. Now, again, we don't usually go out and eat deer. It's not on the menu every day, but it's not like people don't traditionally eat that and they still hunt for it and they eat it. So that's kind of the way it is with guinea pig. All right. So people would raise guinea pigs like we would raise chickens or something like that and eat them. So I always encourage you to try things if and when you get to travel, because why not? It's not going to kill you. I'll show you some pictures of me trying some guinea pig. And again, it doesn't taste like anything really that exotic. Most things really do kind of taste like chicken. And guinea pig is no different. So I will show you some pictures of that, but that's definitely something that stands out. And that is definitely a local tradition. All right, what else? So the guinea pigs are interesting. What else? See, Maggie. Yeah. Have you ever been to Hot Springs? But COVID, wah, wah. All right. Has anybody else ever been to Hot Springs anywhere? No, so I'll describe it. So what it is, it's just it's water that's heated naturally from the earth. So in this case, it's heated from a volcano, right? Because there's so much heat in the volcano, it produces it makes the water in the area hot. And then what they'll do is they'll commercialize it. So they'll make pools out of it that you can swim in, and they're like hot tubs, but they're natural. We have a lot of them out west. Have anybody ever been to Colorado, Yellowstone? They have a lot of hot springs that you can visit. You pay money to go there. And then it's a natural hot tub is basically what it is. So yeah, if you haven't, and again, you travel out west at some point, just in the United States, you'll see them because they're kind of cool places to visit. All right, what else? What else? Talked about the volcano. How about a charango? What's a charango? Somebody want to tell me about 12 and 13, and then I'll show you mine. What's
Isn't that folk music? And then they make the little guitar out of armadillo.
So look, here's my charango. So it's a little guitar, and it looks like a guitar on the front. And some are made out of wood, but traditionally it's made out of an armadillo shell. So here's mine. I'll hold it up so you guys kind of see it here. So it's made out of an armadillo shell. This is not a head. This is just carved out of the wood to look like a head, but it's the shell, right? And so the idea is that, they would probably raise armadillos, again, traditionally, and you probably eat the meat. And so they don't waste things. So you try to use all the parts of the animal. And this can be turned into a musical instrument, right? And it came with a little music book. And I remember my husband and I were debating on if we should get the wooden one or the armadillo one. And I was like, oh, I got to get the armadillo one so I can share it with my students because, I mean, it's different. So, anyways, but yeah, this is the charango. So, good. Good, 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 good. All right, what else? What else stands out? I'm kind of just looking through. Somebody want to talk to me about the Galapagos? Or Maddie, go ahead, whatever you were going to say. If it's not Galapagos, that's fine.
I was gonna say, oh, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was cool how they used old army planes to fly over the Amazon jungle.
Yeah. So they used old army planes. I think that was number 19. Army planes to fly over the jungle. Again, in other countries, I think there's a bigger perhaps emphasis on just using everything. Use everything you can use, right? Don't waste. As Americans, we tend to waste a lot of things. Everything's very disposable. And again, it's like don't waste the armadillo shell, make an instrument out of it. Don't waste the army planes, use them for planes, right? So yeah, kind of that whole mentality. Good. What else? Somebody want to talk about the Galapagos or something else? What do we know about the Galapagos? The last 4 questions.
Some of the animals on the Galapagos, it says something about where is that? I think it says some of them die from like age, or like they don't have natural predators, so some of the animals die from age.
In fact, most of them die from old age. But yeah, it's this group of islands, right? And the animal wildlife is super diverse, and there's just not a lot of predators, right? So it's where what's the famous scientist? To my science people, biology, who was there? Darwin, Charles Darwin, did his research, right? And he worked on his theory of anyone, theory of age, old age, theory of evolution, right? That animals evolve. So he did all of his famous studies in the Galapagos. So he studied the tortoises and the finches. And so that should have probably come up in biology class if it hasn't already. And you should be familiar with him. So he made the islands kind of famous for that. And I'll show you a bunch of pictures. It really is like a wildlife show. Like it was amazing when we went there. Highly recommended. It's not easy to get to. It's a bit more expensive to try to get there, but it is so worth it because it is literally like being in a nature show. I'll show you, like I said, a picture here of what we saw in a second, but very cool place. All right, so I don't know. Anything else stand out? Go ahead, Norm. Oh, yeah. Yeah, basically you deliver it. So we didn't go there, but there must be like this old school post office, right? Before you had a lot of postal service available to these remote islands. So if you were on a ship and you were going by, you'd leave your letter there. And then you look to see if there were any letters addressed to people that were going, are where you were going, and you just take them with you and deliver them. So they kind of have just continued that tradition just for fun. And yeah, we didn't see that, but it sounds pretty cool. All right, so how about questions? Are there any that you wanted to ask about? I see somebody in the chat asked a couple at the beginning. So let's go back. I'm happy to answer a few. Now, if you've missed a whole chunk, you just need to go back and watch it, right? The clip is on YouTube and it's on your current lesson from the last few days. But otherwise, if you just have one or two you want to ask about, that's fine. So let's start with numero dos. So somebody want to do that one? I'll give you a quick point. Much of Ecuador is the blank mountains. Blank mountains. All right, I'm going to go in here and then I need some more Zoom friends to get on there. Go ahead, Nora. It's the Andes Mountains, right? That's the big mountain range that goes almost all the way down South America. Okay, Andes. Number 3, you can ride. Oh, we mentioned this. I'll say this again. You can ride on the top of the train, right? Not super safe, but on the top. Oh, yeah. Okay, that's it for now. Okay, perfect. I figured. Okay, thanks for checking. All right, let's see. And number 6. Oh, that's the hot water is produced from the volcano. Volcano. All right, then I had a couple questions about the Galapagos. Let's see. The 5 animals you can get when I show you my pictures here in a second. So if you didn't get all 5 animals, you can get those in a second. Number 23 on the Galapagos, I said this, but I didn't say the number. It was Charles Darwin, right? That's when we were talking about Darwin studied the animals and helped him create his famous theory of evolution. That's what we were talking about with 23.
Can you say that again? The theory of what?
Evolution. Like how species evolved. All right, well, I'm going to switch it up here. I'm going to show you a couple pictures real quick, and then you can go ahead and make sure you got everything filled in, and you can go ahead and submit it at your convenience. Again, if you want to keep it and go back and watch something before you submit it, that's fine. But otherwise, hopefully you've got most of your answers, okay? All right, so let me get my little PowerPoint up here so I can share a couple pictures with you. And we said, remember the postcards, you have to take them with you and deliver them, was what that one was about. All right. So I went to Ecuador with my family, I would say about 10 years ago, maybe 10 or 12 years ago. And these are some pictures that I threw together of our trip. And Zoom friends, I'm assuming you can see that okay? Okay. So let me just start my slideshow. All right, so here's what the reason we went. So my brother, who's not actually in these pictures, but I'll show you in a minute, he studied abroad in college. So he studied Spanish. And so what you do is your junior year, you can study abroad for a semester or for the whole year, and you can go live in a different country. It's an amazing opportunity. I hope many of you will take advantage of that. Typically that is done in your junior year of college, and it's a great way for you to see the world. They kind of set it all up and you still get your college credits, but you get to experience another culture, whether it is a Spanish speaking culture or not. It is a wonderful opportunity. If you actually want to get good at Spanish, that's the way to do it, right? That's what everybody does. Unless you actually grow up speaking it or you're using it at your job every day, the way to actually learn to speak Spanish is just to go somewhere and live there and figure it out. And so my brother went to Ecuador. This is his host family. I try to give you like just little ideas of what things are like. So usually you stay with a host family and they sign up for the program and they provide you with a place to live and a room and food. And they kind of just show you around, right? You go to the local school, the university, and you're older, you know, if you're a junior, you're probably 20, 21. So you're fairly self-sufficient. But you live with the family. So these were his host parents. He lived in Quito, the capital, so big city. This was one of the sisters of the family. I think there was another sister and maybe a younger brother. But I like to kind of show you the food. So this was kind of a traditional meal. A lot of corn. This is corn and that's corn. This is kind of like a boiled corn and that was like a kind of roasted. So they were crunchy. And then a lot of potatoes. So in the middle here, that's potatoes. This is like a potato salad. And that's probably some sort of meat. I would say either chicken or pork are usually the more common meats there. And otherwise, you know, you can see just, you know, pop, water, normal stuff. This around here is the market. So this is a big market, Otavalo, which they showed in the video. It's a huge market one day a week, and then it's a smaller market for the rest of the week. But you can see these are like different areas. So these are the textiles. They do all these weavings. Again, if you look around my room, all the colorful things tend to be from markets. Like there's a little carpet down here that was from a market like that. I don't know, there's various things. I pulled a couple things from Ecuador, but I should have brought, there's an instrument over there I'll grab that's from Ecuador. But you can see, so this is kind of the woven area. There's little bags and little, I don't know, purses and tapestries. clothing. And then down here is the food. So this is the fruit area. You can see the fruit is just kind of laid out and everybody owns their own stall and sells food. And then this is the pig. If you were here at the beginning of first semester, I always like to show this picture because it always kind of freaks people out. It's just a fresh pig, right? So they had probably, he was killed that morning and they were serving him up with probably, I would guess, corn and potatoes. And I mean, it was super good, super fresh. It's always a little shocking for us to see that pig, but we're just a little disconnected from our food. So if you ever go to a pig roast or something, right, that's what it looks like. Here, I just grabbed another, this is an instrument. I'll show you guys on Zoom in a minute, but this is like traditional instrument that I probably bought at a market like that in Ecuador. Okay, so from the city, we went up into the mountains a little bit. This is the cloud forest. It's like the rainforest, but it's elevated. So it's not as warm. It's still very lush and tropical. And you can see it's kind of misty. When you're in the, it's like you're in the clouds, right? So that's why it's called the cloud forest instead of the rainforest. So, but you can see it's very jungly. We spent a couple days up there hiking and we stayed in a, like a little cabin up there that we rented. And you can see like the orchids, the flowers, lots of interesting bugs, lots of birds in the area. I'll show you hummingbirds. So this is where we stayed. It was a feeder, but I don't know. We have a hummingbird feeder in our yard. We're lucky if we see one or two. I mean, this feeder was covered in hummingbirds at all times. So it was kind of cool to see all the birds and the flowers and that kind of stuff. So here's my, I had to seek out some guinea pigs so I could take pictures to share with you guys. So up in the corner is like the traditional pen where you keep them. Now, again, it's not like everybody has a guinea pig pen in their house. It's like if you think about people raising chickens or raising cattle or raising pigs, sometimes people think of Indiana as like, oh, they're a bunch of farmers and everybody has pigs and cows and chickens. Well, probably most of us do not have pigs and cows and chickens in our home. Same thing with the guinea pigs, right? As you get into the more farmy areas outside the city, it would probably be a little more common to see something like that. It's not like everybody has their little guinea pig pen in their house, but they may have a long time ago, just like everybody, you know, had farms a long time ago here. So those are the guinea pigs. And again, I always try the local dishes because why not? It's kind of the fun of traveling and looking at what other people eat. And so I got myself a guinea pig. Kind of looks like a big fried chicken. If you just look at the middle, right? Kind of looks like fried chicken. Those are some potatoes and stuff with some sauce on them. You know, the head obviously is a little shocking, like you saw in the video. I mean, you can literally see its little ears and its little eyes and its little tooth. I mean, I get it. I have hamsters, you know, I wouldn't eat my hamsters, but it's just part of the tradition. So I always encourage you to try at least once, like the local traditions when you go somewhere, because why not? So really, I didn't do anything with the head. I mean, you can see the little foot back there. You know, the meat is kind of right here. It's small, so it's not like you get a lot of meat. It's just, but you do get the whole thing usually. So you can see the whole thing. And it is kind of interesting, but that was my guinea pig. My cuy is what it's called in Quechua, which is the native language. So this is interesting. This is mitad del mundo. This is the equator, right? This is the middle of the world. And I might have showed you again first semester, probably this middle picture if you had me, because I like that one. We're standing, one of us is in the northern hemisphere, one of us is in the southern hemisphere. And I don't actually know which is which. I can't tell from the picture. So they have this huge monument that everybody goes to. And then if you read in your guidebook, it's like that actually is not quite on the equator. You have to walk for like 5 minutes to this other area. And this is actually the equator over here. So somebody, whenever they built it, messed up a little bit, but this is the actual equator. So that's my brother when he was in college and living there. And then my husband and I. And it's interesting. So you can do these little experiments on the equator because the gravity is a little bit different on the equator. So it's like harder to walk in a straight line. So you can see my husband and my brother kind of trying to walk in a straight line. And then they did one down here. This little thing has leaves in it. So what they were showing us is in the northern hemisphere, a toilet will naturally go one way. In the southern hemisphere, it would flush the other way. And on the equator, there's no spin. So the leaves just went like straight down. If you picture like, you know how you picture that little like tornado thing, kind of like that. If you like have water going down a drain or something, or it just spins one way. So it's just interesting on the equator. The gravity just affects things differently. So this is now we're leaving the equator area and we're kind of going back to the coast so that we can fly to the Galapagos. And you can see like they have a lot of llamas and alpacas that kind of just graze around. And these were some old ruins. They were not Inca ruins necessarily, but some older ruins, probably people that were alive perhaps around that time, but not necessarily Incas in this exact spot. All right, so here's the Galapagos. If you're missing any pictures, here's 5 to start you. It really was like walking onto a nature show. It was very cool. So this little sea lion guy was actually, he's wild. All these animals are wild. He was at our hotel though. He would like hop out of the water every morning and waddle up to this bench. This was like his bench. He would lay around for a while. And then when he got tired of it, he would hop off and waddle back and swim away. But he was kind of a regular there. You can see some dolphin. The penguins are super cute. They're smaller penguins. The Arctic penguins are bigger, but the smaller ones are in the Galapagos. That's a whale. And then those are the Sally Lightfoot crabs. So they're just really pretty, colorful crabs that are kind of all around on the rocks. So there's a couple animals. And here's a few more. One more animal shot, I think. So lots of iguanas. They sit on the rocks and spit. So what it is they swim in the water and they ingest so much salt that they sit on the rocks and they spit out all the salt. So it's kind of funny when you walk by. These are some sharks that were kind of like, we were walking somewhere on one of the islands and you could see them like down in the water. Let's see, we have a big tortoise. So kind of famous for their tortoises that are can be very, very old. This was a big ray that we saw swimming by. It was probably like that big. And these are the blue-footed boobies, is what they're called. They're kind of the famous bird of the area, and they do have really blue feet. It's kind of interesting. Funny name, but anyway, that's what they're called. So that was the Galapagos. And then this is my last slide. So this is from New Year's Eve. It was kind of interesting. We spent New Year's Eve there. Every culture has different traditions for New Year's. In our culture, you know, we stay up till midnight and we do a toast. In England, when my husband's from England, so forever in England on New Year's, they always do fireworks. Sometimes people do that here, but I don't feel like it's quite as big of a thing. So in Ecuador, during the day, there's a lot of parades and celebrations. You can see these guys kind of just dressed traditionally. They've got on these funny masks, and I've got one that usually is up there. So this was my Ecuador mask that people just wear. They're just for fun, right? And there's parades and there's, you know, just lots of festivities. And then there are these effigies that they make that look like this. So what they are, they're filled with straw. And sometimes they represent people. Sometimes they do them with politicians. A lot of politicians are like stuff like that. And they stuff them, they sit them out all day. So as you're walking around, you see lots of things that look like this that are pretty creepy looking. And then they're called Los Años Viejos. So they represent the old year. And at midnight, if you look at this picture, everybody puts their effigies out in the street and they make these bonfires and they burn them. And, you know, everybody's hanging out and it's kind of a party and there's probably some fireworks and stuff too. And they represent kind of the old year. So it's kind of like out with the old, in with the new. And so that was a really interesting tradition that I had never heard about. But, you know, that's just kind of how they celebrate New Year's. So it's kind of cool to be there to get to see that. So that was my last slide. Let me unshare and then I'll show you guys my little mask here because it's kind of fun. Let's see. So here's my Ecuador mask, very colorful. And like it's a mask. And again, just kind of for fun, but that's where I got this guy. So for New Year's, that's where they get their use. Oh, and here's my flute. So this is they're panpipes is what they are. And I did a little, oh, wait, can't even see it. So anyway, that's what I got in a market there. So there you go. All right, let me hit my lights. And I don't know, we probably don't have much time with him. Yeah, hopefully that answers all your questions. Everybody good on Ecuador? Any other final questions or comments that I missed? Okay. So, like I said, turn in your notes at some point. If you haven't turned them in, turn them in soon. If you need to go back and look something up, look it up. Otherwise, we are gonna kind of spend like 5 minutes making sure we're kind of set up for bingo. I'm gonna show you how it's gonna work. I'll call just a couple today, and then we will start off class tomorrow with some bingo, some loteria. So if you would transition, find your bingo board. And I promise I won't, let's see, 24. Oh, yeah, we really don't have much time, do we now? Oh, no, 17. Yeah, we got like 5 minutes. All right, so grab your bingo board and let me tell you how it's going to work. And if you did not make one yesterday, please make sure you have one made by first thing tomorrow. So let me explain to you again what it is. You can see how one? You can grab one of these. Just grab one on your way out, or you can grab it now, and then you can make it for tomorrow. All right, so it looks like this, if you got one from me. Otherwise, like I said yesterday, you just make a square on a piece of paper and do 5 by 5. And you should have a different word from your vocab list in Spanish in each box. Yes, most of us do that. Okay, so if you didn't, it's okay, still do it for tomorrow. And we will start class tomorrow with bingo. I'm gonna call a couple today just so you kind of can see what I'm gonna do. And then we'll pick it up again tomorrow. So what I will do is I'll say the word in English. You got to find it in Spanish. All right. So if you need your vocab list, use it. And for example, I'll start with an easy one. How about baby? So you can do baby girl or baby boy. If you have that word, you're just going to put a little check mark, right? Or a little dot. However you want to do it, little check, little dot. And obviously it's just like normal bingo. So eventually you want to get a row or a column or diagonal, 4 corners. And you're going to say loteria instead of bingo when you get there. All right. So again, if you're making that a question, you're going to make a square. 5 por 5, 5 by 5, 5 por 5. Y una palabra de vocabulario en cada caja. Okay, make sure you're using your 4B list. All right, let's do a couple more. How about next up? What if we said to smile? To smile. See if you've got to smile. To smile. I'm doing one more super easy one. How about anniversary? Anniversary. Easy one to recognize. Anniversary. All right, I'm flipping to the back side in case you're following along at home. How about a holiday? I'll give you a hint on that. Holiday, it looks like a festive day. In English, we call it a holiday. In Spanish, it is a festive day. Since we were just talking about these, let's go with fireworks. Fireworks. In Spanish, they are literally artificial fires. Fireworks, artificial fires. Trying to help you connect them there if you have not done so. How about the word always? Always? Always. 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 Are you able to keep up? Am I going okay, pace-wise? My people in here are okay. Are you okay out there? Okay. How about if something is old or ancient? If you're old or ancient, it's kind of a cognate, sort of. The first part is a little bit for ancient. Almost looks like antique. If you think of an antique, that's something that's old or ancient. Might help you remember it. Antique. How about to have a picnic? To have a picnic. To have a picnic. All right, let's do one more, then we'll call it and we'll keep going tomorrow. How about last one for the day? Let's go with to hug each other, to hug. First one on your list, to hug. All right, once you have that, you may put your bingo board in a safe place. Please bring it back tomorrow. Okay, and we will continue our game. No additional homework. Make sure you're working on vocab. Make sure you have the Nearpod from yesterday done. Make sure you're caught up with everything from the week. And again, I'm moving that vocab quiz that was tomorrow to next Tuesday. Give you a little more time. Okay? All righty. Hasta luego. Have a good rest of your day. I'll see you tomorrow.